Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight in Broome County, where a New York State trooper is recovering after a man shot her during a welfare check. Big Fox's Matt Kleindens has the details of what happened in Colesville.
After a nearly 20-hour manhunt, New York State Police announced that Jason Johnson was arrested in Colesville. Johnson was wanted for the shooting of New York State Trooper Becky Seeger. The incident occurred around 8:30 last night along East Windsor Road when police were called for a welfare check. Police say Johnson shot Trooper Seeger and exchanged gunfire with other officers before taking off into the woods. Seeger was treated at a nearby hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The Binghamton Police SWAT team, FBI, and Department of Environmental Conservation assisted state troopers throughout the manhunt. The New York State Police announced on Twitter that Johnson was taken into custody around 4:45 this afternoon. Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Colesville.
The First Responders Honor Park in Irwin is looking for donations to help it expand. The park plans on commissioning a new statue, new landscaping, paved walkways, and engraved pavers dedicated to first responders. Residents can donate between $125 and $2,500 for these engraved granite pavers. All donations should be sent to the Crystal City Parks Foundation. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is calling for increased funding for Lyme disease research. New York has seen a massive increase of ticks over the years, leading to more cases of Lyme disease. The state has reported more than 92,000 cases in the past 20 years. Gillibrand is calling for $12 million for the Defense Department's tick-borne disease research program and to help states build public health infrastructure for Lyme disease. A highly contagious COVID-19 variant has taken hold in Europe, and it's slowly starting to spread here in the U.S. This as the vaccination rollout lags nationwide. Jonathan Seri has more.
The United States will be purchasing 500 million doses of Pfizer's vaccine to be delivered around the globe by June of next year. The announcement comes as public health officials grow concerned over a highly contagious COVID-19 variant. The Delta variant, first detected in India, has spread to at least 60 countries, including the U.S. and U.K. The World Health Organization is asking countries to step up their vaccination measures.
Over the course of last summer, cases gradually rose in younger age groups and then moved into older age groups. Let's not make that mistake again.
Nearly 64% of American adults have received at least one vaccine shot, but the U.S. is expected to fall short of President Biden's goal of giving 70% of adults a first dose by July 4th. Public health officials say they're concerned low vaccination rates could further the spread of variants.
The longer it takes for us to vaccinate, the longer the pandemic goes on for us. The longer we know we don't have relatively normal lives.
Meanwhile, FDA advisors are meeting today to discuss the safety of COVID-19 vaccines in children under 12. The agency says it will require drug makers to make a strong case for authorizing vaccine use in children.
The risk-benefit consideration will likely be different, not only compared to those for adults, but also they may be different for younger versus older pediatric age groups.
Moderna is seeking approval from the Food and Drug Administration for emergency use of its COVID-19 vaccine on 12 to 17-year-olds. The company announced its request to the FDA today. After studying more than 3,700 teens, researchers found the COVID vaccine produced similar immune responses in teens as it did in adults. Moderna's two-dose vaccine is currently authorized for use in adults 18 years and older. Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine was authorized for emergency use in teens 12 and older last month. New statistics show thousands of workers fleeing from the construction industry. With demand for crews spiking and issues with pricey materials, Ashley Stromier has more on how this all could affect potential homebuyers.
The situation is dire. It was bad then as a problem. Now it's a full-fledged crisis.
The coronavirus is cutting down construction crews. A recent report by the Associated General Contractors of America shows employment in the industry slid by roughly 20,000 from April to May. The shortage leaving business owners scrambling to answer pressing questions.
Do you have any workers, entry level, experienced? They are really in short supply.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are 225,000 fewer workers in construction, comparing May 2021 to February of last year.
For every 5 workers retiring, only 1 is coming in.
I would pay a ridiculous amount of money to get a qualified person in here. I would hire 15 people today.
The ongoing manual labor shortage has led to some businesses turning away prospective clients simply because they don't have the staff to meet demands. Worker needs, coupled with supply chain bottlenecks increasing material prices, could continue to hike up already high housing prices. The White House recently announced a new task force to help address the lingering supply chain problems.
We are launching a new supply chain disruptions task force to tackle near-term bottlenecks in the semiconductor, home building and construction, transportation, and agriculture and food industries.
The ongoing construction labor shortage and a lumber shortage is driving up home prices by some estimates in the tens of thousands of dollars. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Meat supplier JBS says it paid $11 million following a ransomware attack. The company says the infiltration shut down its beef processing operations last week. It says most facilities had come back online by the time it paid, but it decided to do so to ensure customers faced no risk. JBS says it doesn't think any private data got out during the attack. The United States is back. Those are the words of President Biden in Great Britain ahead of meetings with world leaders. Caroline Shively has details from Washington.
It's a great pleasure to be here. President Biden and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson met one-on-one ahead of Friday's G7 summit between world leaders, agreeing to a new Atlantic Charter on travel, technology, and trade. It's just step one in what the administration sees as repairing U.S. relationships.
At every point along the way, we're going to make it clear that the United States is back and democracies of the world are standing together to tackle the toughest challenges.
Mr. Biden's most anticipated meeting comes next week with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
The president's going to raise areas where he has concern, whether it's the ransomware attacks or the aggression on the border of Ukraine or human rights abuses.
But with what consequences?
There are some questions about exactly what the Biden administration, they're talking tough, but what in fact will they do?
Back in D.C., Biden is facing criticism from Republicans as part of his domestic agenda, including infrastructure and voting reform, appears stalled.
It's a pattern of the Biden administration. They don't want to engage in this. They haven't been to the border. All these crises they've created, and they're unwilling to listen to the American people, but willing to go to other countries.
The pandemic remains a top issue at home and abroad. The administration now says the U.S. will donate 500 million vaccines to countries across the world. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell breathing new life into stalled negotiations for a new infrastructure bill, telling Fox News talks are still ongoing. Jonathan Hunt has more.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are still hard at work on a new infrastructure bill, but it won't be easy. On Wednesday, a bipartisan group offered a $1.2 trillion compromise bill, more than the $928 billion offered by Senate Republicans, but less than the $1.7 trillion requested by the White House. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said Wednesday talks had hit a roadblock, but on Thursday, he breathed new life into the negotiations by telling Fox News Republicans are ready to make a deal.
We haven't given up hope that we'll be able to reach a deal on something really important for the country that we really need to accomplish.
The main sticking points, how much money to approve and where it will go. Republicans are insisting any infrastructure spending be directly related to repairing roads, bridges, and other structures.
It's been too broadly defined, number one, and the numbers are up in the clouds, and we're borrowing every penny of it.
Those demands pushing a growing number of Democrats to ask the White House to go it alone on infrastructure and use the bill to pass other progressive policies not supported by the GOP.
The major stumbling block with my committee Republicans is climate change, because they can't say or they don't believe in it.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said she'd like to see an infrastructure bill introduced by the 4th of July. In Los Angeles, Jonathan Hunt, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, we may be nearing the end of the line for those acrylic barriers in public places. But what happens to them next? Coming up, we check in with some college students who are experimenting with creative solutions to keep the plexiglass out of landfills.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Attar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. It felt a little bit more refreshing today as the humidity level did decrease a little bit behind a cold front that swung through our area last night. Most of the showers are located south of this boundary. As you can see, all the green and the yellow that's showing up. But for us, a little bit drier conditions. However, we did see a little bit of cloud cover and we did manage to warm up into the 80s. Tomorrow, we're going to enjoy a little bit of that refreshing air again. However, we have another system that will come through from the south, and it is going to bring the chances of rain back. Along with that, our humidity level will start to increase a little bit as well. So yesterday, our dew points were in the 70s, and many of our hometowns now has dropped down into the 50s, a little bit more comfortable. By tomorrow, those dew points will start to creep up into the 60s by the end of the day, and so that's an indication that our moisture content will also increase as well. So our average high is around 77 degrees. By tomorrow, we are expecting those temperatures to be very close to normal. Lots of sunshine during the day. Temperature rings around 77 by 1 o'clock, 78 at 3 o'clock, and there's the possibility of an isolated shower or thunderstorm by the afternoon. So let's take a look at our future radar. For tonight, we're going to enjoy quiet weather, but notice a few showers developing south of the state line in Pennsylvania, and then a few more showers in the overnight. But I think for our viewing area, I think we'll stay dry until the late afternoon into the evening hours. So around 10 o'clock, there could be a thunderstorm or two near Hornell and also in Bath, a few isolated showers otherwise in the overnight, and that will continue into early Saturday. So we could wake up with a few showers in the morning hours, and then there could be 1 or 2 showers in the afternoon. So here's a look at your forecast. Mainly clear conditions tonight. Temperatures dropping down to around 56 degrees in Elmira and also in Corning, 59 degrees in Watkins Glen. Highs tomorrow around 84 degrees in Corning, 86 in Watkins Glen, but only 79 degrees in Mansfield and also in Elmira. We do warm up to around 80 degrees by Saturday. There could be an isolated thunderstorm or two in the afternoon, and then better rain chances for the end of the weekend as another system comes through, and temperatures will be very seasonable early next week with the possibility of a few thunderstorms Monday and Tuesday. Heading into your Wednesday, there is the possibility of an afternoon thunderstorm or two, but temperatures will be a lot cooler with highs around 72 degrees with a little bit drier air moving in.
As the number of coronavirus cases continues to decline, the days might be numbered for those acrylic barriers that you see everywhere. Now some students from Iowa State University are finding some creative ways to reuse that material. Chris Gothner reports.
From offices to supermarkets, even casinos, these plexiglass barriers got put up quickly and have stayed put shortly after the pandemic began. You may not pay them much of a thought anymore, but one Iowa State University employee did.
I was sitting at home one night just kind of thinking through things, and it hit me, oh my, what's going to happen to all the plexiglass that has been put up around campus?
Classroom scheduling specialist Katie Baumgarn wondered what people might do once their time has come and gone.
My worry was, oh wow, when we come out of this pandemic, people are just going to go chuck it into a landfill.
So she took it up with colleagues and eventually a team formed, including industrial design professor Dan Neubauer.
This stuff doesn't break down, it doesn't degrade, it just sits in a landfill.
He decided to put his students to the task of finding the barriers on campus. Turns out there are about 500. Some will stay put, but he got his class on board designing creative ways to reuse what won't. He says recycling or upcycling plexiglass isn't easy, but
that didn't stop me from pushing my students to try to figure out ways to make it work and make it look awesome.
Neubauer says the acrylic's cuttable and heat makes it bendable, making it ripe for reuse. Student ideas include brochure holders, desktop organizers, and adjustable desks. One student even designed jewelry.
She embedded metal within the plastic layers.
Some people in the Northern Hemisphere got to see one of nature's greatest shows Thursday morning, a partial Ring of Fire solar eclipse. This type of eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. In a ring of fire, the moon's distance from Earth keeps it from blocking out the sun's light entirely, so when it passes in front of it, the star's rays are brightly visible around the moon's edges. Only people in Greenland and parts of Russia and Canada got to see the full effect. A mother in Virginia is turning to billboards and bus signs to help solve her son's murder. The case is still unsolved after 3.5 years. Margaret Kavanaugh spoke with the victim's aunt about the campaign.
I want people to remember his name, his face.
Samad Braisford, 24 years old, shot in 2017, then taken to the hospital.
When he came out of surgery, they told us, Jesus.
3.5 years later, no arrests made. The raw pain is still there.
And I begged them to just keep working on him because I couldn't accept that he was gone.
Alicia Spencer lost her nephew that day.
He has so much more life to live. And in that moment, if I could have traded places with him, I would have in a heartbeat.
One of her favorite people.
I have to look my baby sister in her face and tell her that her baby's gone. That's something that haunts me. I try to be the strong one for the family, but it's hard.
Samad's mother has paid thousands of dollars to put up these billboards across Hampton roads, and his face is currently on 3 public buses.
Definitely difficult. The not knowing is more difficult than anything.
The family has held memorials and attended anti-violence rallies.
It's been awful. I mean, there's really no words to describe when you lose somebody to senseless violence.
They say they won't stop until they get answers about the killer and want to keep Samad's memory alive.
I don't know what corner you're going to turn and you're going to see him on a billboard or on a bus. He's still here. He's very much alive. We're not letting him go, and we're not going to just sit quiet and allow this to happen and not say anything.
Bitcoin has cleared a major hurdle. El Salvador has become the first country to adopt the currency as a legal form of payment, along with the US dollar. Experts say that move will create a global ripple effect. Steve Nannis looks at the impacts.
Bitcoin making history. El Salvador is now the first country to adopt the digital currency as a legal form of payment.
It really changes the argument for Bitcoin. I think that right now investors are seeing this as the developing world is about to go crazy and embracing crypto.
Lawmakers approving the landmark proposal this week, with the president saying Bitcoin will promote innovation and economic development. Experts say the bold move will have a global impact that could speed up mass adoption of cryptocurrencies.
There is going to be a lot of incentive to make Bitcoin legal tender, as it's going to attract a tremendous amount of crypto entrepreneurs.
While Bitcoin fans are cheering the decision, some experts say it won't help stabilize prices. Bitcoin is notoriously volatile. In April, it reached almost $65,000 before crashing and is now trading around $35,000. Those wild swings are rattling investors and raising eyebrows on Capitol Hill, where U.S. lawmakers are eyeing bills aimed at keeping crypto investors safe.
There needs to be more regulation in place to protect the American consumer, and I think you're going to see that's how government's going to come cracking down on cryptos.
With interest rising, the FTC issuing a warning in April against crypto scams, saying avoid companies on social media or emails making big claims like guaranteeing you'll make a profit or promising big payouts.
You have to have extreme caution. I think that it's still a very volatile space.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Steve Nannis.
President Biden has revoked former President Trump's executive orders targeting TikTok, WeChat, and other Chinese social media companies. Biden also signed a fresh order that takes aim at apps linked to America's foreign adversaries, including China. The move shows that the Biden administration has many of the same national security concerns as the Trump administration regarding mobile apps from China. The concern among many policymakers is that apps tied to China could be forced by Beijing to disclose users' personal information or even spread disinformation. It's likely that your average 16-year-old barely knows what a typewriter is these days. But that's not the case for one Florida teen. Not only has repairing typewriters become his hobby, he's making some good money doing it. Vanessa Areza reports.
These are the ones I keep. These are the ones I really, don't want to sell.
Jack Armstrong, maybe 16 years old, but this teen has quite the old soul.
This is one of my favorites to type on. It prints italic characters. Down here is a Fox number 24. This is from the early 1910s. This one over here is very special. This is a green Smith Corona flat top from the first year.
His passion for typewriters began at the age of 12.
How does a teenager get into typewriters?
I got drug along to antique malls by my mom, and they were what drew me in. These are keyring pullers.
4 years and 180 literary pianos later, Armstrong has created a name for himself across the world.
I do have some typewriters in a museum in Dubai, which I'm very proud of. I'm just blown away because I'm some 16-year-old schmuck in Florida, and they're like, hey, you want to repair our ultra-rare typewriter? We'll ship it to you from New Zealand, from Australia, from all over the world.
If you think his old soul solely lies in typewriters, think again. He's also putting work into this classic.
I have a 1972 Volkswagen Beetle that I am in the process of restoring. I'm currently building a new engine for it.
Of course he is. But his first love always brings him back to the basics and his endless search for more.
Ideally, how many would you want?
All of them.
In a year and a half, Jack has been repairing these typewriters and reselling them. He's made about $60,000, but all of that money, it goes right back into his projects. And he doesn't plan on stopping anytime soon. In fact, his ultimate goal is to one day open his own brick and mortar.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Lucky Charms cereal is temporarily kicking out its leprechaun for a more evil mascot. The Marvel villain Loki is taking over the popular cereal and has turned it into Loki Charms. This cereal is not magically delicious, it is mischievously delicious. The new branding is part of a collaboration between General Mills and Marvel, celebrating Disney Plus's Loki, the new streaming series. Only 3,500 boxes of Loki Charms will be sold, and unfortunately, those boxes have already sold out. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.